Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's something that quietly changed you? I guess the disappointment you get when you expect something from someone and they let you down time to time, every now and then. Real. Listening to my black boss talk about teaching her 3-year-old son how to safely interact with cops. I knew racism was real. I did not truly understand how insidiously it impacts every aspect of people's lives. I had some idea that children were immune. Every time I hear about my preschooler learning about community helpers, I think of my former boss, just a mother at the end of the day, teaching her son how to avoid getting shot. Assuming you are white, I wish all white people experienced this. I am black and think back to my father giving me these talks when I was 6, 7 years old. Seemed completely normal at the time but shouldn't have been. I don't think even the most well-meaning white people are inclined to understand just how survival-based being black in America can force you to be, from such a young age. Builds a pretty significantly different worldview. Thanks for sharing X. When small heartbreaks and failures began piling up like an avalanche and crashing down on me, I realized that I was changing. I was 29 when my mother died and things kept coming, people dying, illnesses, fucking a murder, mental illness. I'm now 42 and you know what? It sucks, but I have more empathy for people and what they are going through, and I know that I survived what life threw at me. So, in my way, I've made my peace with it. But, trust me, it sucks that I had to endure all that to become this person. I really am sorry for what you had been through, but I want to believe that these things made you, yes, more empathetic but also stronger. You were already strong before, but I think now you know where to stand, what to do, how to overcome with negativity. You are unstoppable. Workplace bullying and mobbing. I was always known for being honest and outspoken, but I've become even more outspoken. I've also become very distrustful of all of my former coworkers and will never go back again. I also admit that I secretly hope that AI and technology takes over the jobs. Which is something I would have never thought about before. Laika the space dog. My husband having an affair less than a year after we got married. I'm sorry, this happened to me as well. Breakup. Disappointments from people, from life. When I was in college, I got into a relationship with a guy who I thought was very exciting and romantic. On a whim went to spend the summer with him very far away from school and everyone I knew. Turned out he was possessive and abusive. All the signs were there from the beginning, I just didn't recognize them. By chance I met his high school girlfriend, and we had a private conversation about how controlling he could be. When I realized that the situation was getting worse and I had nowhere to go, I asked her for help and we secretly arranged for her to pick me up when he was out. I stayed with her until I could get back to school. Since then I've been able to see and feel for people in abusive relationships. Thanks, Debbie less than 3. Loving myself more. A horrible boss. How did that change you? My faith. Faith towards Pink Floyd. Liars. Narcissistic abuse. Realizing that most people aren't actually thinking about me. They're too busy worrying about what I'm thinking of them. Once that, quietly, clicked, the social anxiety dropped significantly and I started doing things just because I liked them. Seeing how Christians and its faith really are. Having lived in the South, really lost my faith in Christianity. Age. As I got older I realized I changed. Toxic workplace. Made me an angry person. NT socks. My feet haven't been mad at me since. Who knew small comfort could reset my whole damn outlook? What are NT socks? Google was no help. My family. Getting disturbed by spam calls. So I made it my mission to do something about it and came up with DNFD. Going on a 378-day spam call-free streak. Life is bliss now. Sounds fun, not sure if it works in my country. Heartbreak. Some people have bad attitudes, pensive face. Realizing you could just do things. By acting consistently in the right direction, daily, you could achieve almost anything. Really feeling like it's not that simple sometimes. Reminds me of a friend telling me that there was value in the book Atomic Habits, but that it was also pretty ableist. Discovering the first time that a woman found me attractive and wanted to sleep with me. Being a shy, withdrawn young man at the time and having absolutely no confidence in how to talk to people in general, let alone women, it blew my mind that someone thought I was cute. Also the circumstances of discovering my autism diagnosis, I found out when I was 39. I was diagnosed when I was 7. I had always known I was different to nearly everyone around me since I was a kid, and it was a relief to finally have that answer and allow myself to accept it. Limerence during COVID. Never met in person, but I convinced myself I was falling in love because I was so isolated. Changed my view of love, made me come to realize infatuation as so utterly pointless. Death of a loved one. People. Understanding that life is unpredictable and trying to control it only brings about suffering. Having a nervous breakdown after enduring years of bullying and abuse at work. I was young when I started at my job and was raised to never question authority, so I didn't understand that what I was dealing with was 100% wrong. I took some time away and am now mostly healed. Reading the book How to Be Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. I was never racist and have been a leftist for most of my adult life. But that book changed me. It made me realize I still had some racist ideas and beliefs and helped me start to deconstruct those ideas. I believe everyone has some implicit bias because it's basically cooked into us as people growing up in this world, and to me it's very important to do the work to unlearn those things, and this book did a lot to help get the ball rolling. The Case Study of Vanitas EP7. Grief, so much of it. Getting married. You start learning about your subconscious patterns of behavior, how you react to certain things when you aren't thinking. It is a constant learning cycle, even now, and I'm 10 years in. Very good for you though, for me anyway. Getting isolated in social activities, it changed me into becoming loud and fun, cause if I'm not loud then no one will really notice my existence, or is it just me? Losing friendships I really valued because of my belief system at the time. My son's mental illness. I had always felt sympathetic towards mental health, but in a distant way because it wasn't a part of my own life. Once he started struggling and then was diagnosed, I feel a strong sense of empathy and understanding. Mental illness. Finding out that some friends were not really friends. Some people that talk too much negative, FVCK those people. Marriage. Somehow, I went into it thinking my husband would care. I was really wrong. An attempted assault from my best friend's older brother when I was 12. On the outside, I'm always smiling. Not many people know that I have major depressive disorder and agoraphobia. I did CPR on a 2-year-old. Our efforts were unsuccessful, but we continued long enough for the parents to say goodbye. I can still hear the mom singing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Realizing that abusive people are mean on purpose. I always thought people that were hateful towards me just didn't know how to be nice, like it was all just a big misunderstanding. Once I realized my abusers did it on purpose, my heart shattered. I've never cried so hard in my life. Losing a parent last year in October. Lost interest and didn't celebrated festive seasons and New Year since. Age. I spent a couple years learning Spanish online from Colombians. It went well, and I was super happy, but the best thing about it was the exposure to a culture and a people so different. It has really changed my perspective on life and what's important to be happy. I'm learning that I was never wrong as a young girl, just early. Everything I felt was wrong and unfair at the time and was laughed at for it, everyone is saying now. It's actually annoying sometimes, lol, I had to get past a bitter stage. But now we're all good, and other than a couple of select people, I just stay to myself now. Trauma. Shortly after high school, a friend of mine since kindergarten worked with me at some dead-end job. One day after work he casually jokes, "Another 45 years of this and we can retire." Something I knew, but hearing it then and there changed my perspective for good. I started looking at colleges, attended, and graduated with honors. COVID. I have 6 autoimmune diseases. People in my family who said they loved me but refused to take precautions for my health but still wanted what I could do for them. It wasn't about how they felt about me, but what they wanted from me. Being let down by friends who say they will help out, hang out, only for you to be ghosted in the end every time. Witnessing Gen Z co-workers' disconnected mindset towards work I thought initially was inspiring and made sense that I shouldn't devote everything towards my career, however, until I found out the Gen Z co-workers who had that mindset was actually just wealthy and had safety nets and backups, unlike me who grew up poor. Just made me feel lost truly. Age, menopause. I care way less what men think. The death of my first son! Exclamation mark. Once cried and opened up in front of my GF, now ex. Felt like it was national news few days after. Never opened up to anyone again. Sex. Women I couldn't trust. Over the course of the last year and 1/2 or so, my support group had been completely demolished. I had a girlfriend at her lowest point for 7 months who stressed me out consistently to the point where I had, and I'm pretty sure she single-handedly gave me a form of depression. I reached out to a good friend of mine, my second cousin, for around 2 months afterwards, in which she completely ghosted me and wasn't there. I met a new friend group later, and it was a really good one, or so I thought. I was the only one keeping my bond with them alive. I ended up dating a person in the group, but she left me due to me being at my lowest point. Around a week ago, after a combined 156G hostings from all of them over the past 6 months, around 1/3 road to one half of the friend group pulled me out into the hallway, telling me that I made them uncomfortable and that they wanted me to leave them alone. My cousin came back when I vented a bit about my situation on YouTube. She said that she'd be a shoulder for me to cry on if things were going bad. I called her one more time. She didn't pick up. What I've learned over time is to be untrustful and wary of people. They say they care, but do they truly? The second they stop interacting, I back out, and I'd rather stab myself than actually vent to them anymore. I keep to myself nowadays as to not get hurt, and I am emotionally disconnected to the point that I can't seem to stop time from slipping through my hands. Having both ADHD and autism makes the process of finding and, more importantly, keeping good friends hard, but this on top of it makes it so much harder. Being isolated for 12 years. Thinking you were close, or at least at a deeper level than just an acquaintance, made me realize and open my eyes to where I truly stand with someone. I'm done putting in effort for someone who won't.